I stopped sitting down and being upset and feeling sorry for myself. I took accountability and said, you know what? I literally do everything. So why am I sitting here upset? If this is not treating me the way I want to be treated right now, I need to go where I'm loved. I need to go where I'm seen. I need to go and do other things that I love.
I think that's the number one thing that we all kind of have to learn at some point in our life. Like, you will have to walk away from people who create a bad experience in your life. Maybe they like to argue a lot, or they ignore you, or they don't want to support you and the things that you want to do. You know, self-love is understanding, like, I need people who are supportive of me, because nobody is an island. All of us need somebody, close friendships. We need people who love us. We need people who are genuinely concerned about us. But if you're calling people and all they want to do is argue, or, they don't want to listen to your side of your story, or, it's all about them. The whole relationship is about them. When she was learning to love herself, she realized, I can take action. I don't have to be a victim. I can literally walk away, right? And that there is power in that. Realizing that you're not a victim, you can walk away. And if you're struggling to love yourself, I think if you're in an environment that's negative, I know one of my friends, we were talking, and he was like, he was living with these roommates, and at night they would start playing music and it was too loud, right? And we were telling him, in such a situation, you walk away. You walk away because sleep is very important for your mental health. So the point where they don't respect that you need some sleep, and you keep telling them that, past this time of the night, don't play music, don't play loud drums, and they keep doing this, part of the time is like realizing you're not a victim. You can take action. You can walk away. You can walk away. And, maybe you're living with somebody who is beating you up or putting you down, not supportive. Remember, part of you walking away and looking for another life situation, another life, that you are surrounded by people who support you, that's a very powerful action when it comes to self-love. So let's move on to another person, what he thinks self-love is.
I'm making myself a promise to forgive myself for past mistakes and failures. A promise to forget what's behind me and start appreciating the things that's in front of me. Myself a promise to forgive myself for past mistakes and failures. A promise to forget what's behind me and start appreciating the things that's in front of me.
When you make yourself a promise to forgive yourself for your past failures, nobody is born knowing everything. In fact, there's a huge argument among philosophers that we are born with a tabula rasa, like a clean slate. I don't really think there is a lot, obviously there are people who argue differently. Like, we are born with genes that grow, that activate, that do what they are supposed to do at a certain time in our lives. But when it comes to really knowing things, what to eat, what diet to drink, who really are your friends, who are not, we make a lot of mistakes. And I think Maya Angelou says, when you know better, do better. But there is no point of beating yourself up for your past mistakes. We all make mistakes. Heaven knows I've made so many myself, right? But you can choose to wake up every day and realize that every day is a gift to be better, not to beat yourself over the past mistakes that you made. Because in reality, tomorrow can be better. Your past mistakes, maybe you stayed in the wrong relationship for too long. There's no need to cry about the wasted time and the other things that you could have done in your life. All you have to do is be grateful, oh my goodness, I have the future to look forward to. Stuff like that. Forgive yourself and then look forward to the future. That creates a more peaceful state of mind. And for me, I don't separate self-love with a healthy mindset. I don't separate self-love with, loving, with a mind that a winning mindset. A winning mindset and self-love, they go together. They are not mutually exclusive, So when you decide to be better, to forgive yourself, forgiveness is a huge. Then you're able to extend that forgiveness to other people. Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. He did not say love your neighbor more than you love yourself. He never said that. There's a reason he, being the savior, didn't say love your neighbor, better than you love yourself. Because he knows innately that you cannot give something that you don't have. If you don't forgive yourself, it's very unlikely that you're able to forgive your neighbor. So it's important so much that you love yourself so that you're able to love your neighbor. So letting go, moving on, forgiving yourself is probably one of the highest acts of self-love that you can ever do. And I don't separate mental health and self-love, and I don't separate spirituality and mental health also. So when you learn that forgiveness is one of the biggest lessons in mental health, letting go is a big lesson. It's a spiritual lesson. Jesus taught it over and over. One of his biggest lessons was forgiveness, right? And humility. When you realize that, you have to do it so that you can turn the page into this other side of your life where you have really let go and forgiven yourself, you realize this is not, things that people say. Forgiving yourself is the cornerstone of self-love because we all make mistakes. Why do we make mistakes? Because we are not born knowing. We can't predict the future. Sometimes we are foolish not to even see the consequences of our actions, If we were wise, we would probably listen to the word of God. Like the Bible tells you, do not do this, do not do this. Do not do this if you know what's good for yourself. Don't kill another person. Don't steal. Why? Because that really corrodes your self-love. It does something to you on the inside that you cannot live with. The guilt, the shame, all this. So when the word of God tells you, if you know what's good for yourself, don't do these things, it's really because he's trying to protect you from doing something that might make you hate yourself. But we do make mistakes. Even when you have good counsel from the word of God, from your parents, from your friends, you will find yourself, you've been swayed by desire or, something, and you make a mistake. Now, you will have to forgive yourself at some point. You can't keep beating yourself, shaming yourself, living in guilt. At some point, you will have to find some forgiveness within yourself. Now, for me, personally, I had to ask God for forgiveness. I don't know about you, but all good things come from God, including love and forgiveness. And when you realize, I'm not perfect, actually, I can do mean, selfish things. And then you realize I need to ask for some forgiveness, for some divine intervention so that I can face myself and love myself despite my mistakes. Then that's when you realize, I need the love of God. I need the forgiveness. So as much as you want to love yourself and forgive yourself, you have to realize why sometimes you struggle to forgive yourself, because you haven't asked for forgiveness from the one being that needs to forgive you, and that is God. Sometimes we forget, he is the one who calls the shots. And when you realize, okay, I have the humility to be led, and then you realize, okay, let me forgive myself, but let me ask for forgiveness and choose a better way of living, so I don't keep repeating the same mistakes, so that I do better. That is that is a better concept of self-love. It's not just, I just forgive myself. No, are you going to do better? Are you still going to do better? Because it doesn't matter if you forgive yourself and then you keep doing the same mistakes. It doesn't make sense, right? So as much as you want to feel good about yourself, as much as you want to move forward, this is not like a fairy tale. There is a reason why you made the mistakes you did, and there is a reason why you want to change, so that your life can be better. But I think sometimes when you're just listening to people on TikTok, blah, 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 self-love, forgiveness, blah, blah. No, forgiveness is a real thing. You did something really terrible, and now you've learned from your mistakes, and now you don't want to be that person again. That's great. That's great, right? Now, can you find a better path that you walk? That's also a huge act of self-love and good mental health, to own up, like, I have foolish ways, I need wisdom, owning that makes you a more mature person, a more better loving person, a person capable of guiding another person. Okay, let's look at another video.
Listen carefully and take note. If you're rejected, accept it. Listen carefully and take note. If you're rejected, accept it. If you're unloved, let go. If they choose someone or something over you, move on. Not everyone you love will stay. If you're unloved, let go. If they choose someone or something over you, move on.
A lot of people don't understand how abusive it is that somebody told you no, they've rejected you, and you keep asking and asking and asking. I don't know if you've ever broken up with somebody and then they keep texting you. You wonder if they'll come to your house and they're going to break in because, they are making you uneasy. Walk away. Well, you still have some dignity in you. Walk away. When they say, go silent, like, do that. Go silent. Take a break. There is dignity when it comes to self-love, and that is, if people reject you, you move on. That person did not see something, because sometimes people have blinders, it's just like a blind spot that they have. Maybe they rejected you because of your skin color, because they are superficial people, or, maybe your accent, because they are also superficial people, or they have no ability to see, past their perceptions and see how great and amazing you are. When people don't see that, they don't see the things that God has put in you, they are the ones going at a loss. You can move on knowing that this whole planet, there are so many opportunities, and everybody has, as long as you have a human brain, you can train it to be amazing, because the human brain just learns through repetition. Everybody who's become amazing at anything became good at that thing because they repeated something over and over. Say you want to become the greatest piano player. You can in 10 years, because if you do practice every day, you will have to be good. It's a law, repetition. You are going to build neural connections and neural networks that enable you and great muscle memory to play pieces that we have never heard you play before. So it means that you can become great at anything, wherever you are. And self-love is understanding that nobody is born perfect with all the great skills. You have to work hard and repeat them. Repetition, practice makes perfect. And if you really are feeling like, oh, I don't know how to do whatever, cook, do makeup, or play the piano, something that you really want to do, maybe it's drawing, or maybe it's being great with people. These are skills that you can just practice and become amazing and great at over time.
Learn to love yourself first. You don't need confirmation from a man or a woman, your parents, from nobody. You should love yourself first and love what you are and who you're becoming, and then it'll make it easy on other people to follow that and to get that same reflection to love you back.
Everyone you love will stay.
Learn to love yourself first. You don't need confirmation from a man or a woman, your parents, from nobody. You should love yourself first and love what you are and who you're becoming, and then it'll make it easy on other people to follow that and to get that same reflection to love you back. Enjoy.
So I do believe, I'm not ever gonna say that you should love yourself. You ought to love yourself. But when I said why I don't want to say that you should love yourself, it means that this is something that automatically is natural. That when you're not doing it, there's something somehow wrong with you if you don't love yourself. If you don't love yourself, there is nothing wrong with you. There is a skill that you haven't learned. And we learn everything. Our brain has to learn everything. It has to learn love. It has to learn hate. It has to learn, like, all these things that we learn is because we got taught. Racist people who hate black people or whatever other race that you hate people, they didn't grow up automatically. They didn't come from their mother's womb with that kind of hate put into their DNA, right? They had to learn it. It's something that they had to learn. If you somehow find yourself that you don't love yourself, or you probably hate yourself, it's because it is something that you learned or something that you haven't learned. Love is learned. So I'm not going to say that you should love yourself. You ought to love yourself for sure. If you know what's good for you in this planet, if your mind is not working for you, that's the biggest danger. Like, if you hate yourself, it means that your mind is not looking out for you. Your mind is trying to kill you. That's the biggest thing, right? That's why you can't win when you don't love yourself, And even a narcissist knows that, that they ought to love themselves, but they probably don't love themselves. That's why they keep making mistakes with people. So you ought to love yourself. Now, if you don't love yourself, you can learn, just like you learn anything else, how to love yourself. I don't want to say the word should, and I understand like why he says should, like, because he means like you really ought to love yourself. Before your mama, before your daddy, before your neighbor, you better be looking out for yourself. If you train your mind to hate yourself, your mind is going to, it's like your mind is the driver of your life. So imagine if you trained it to be a bad driver. It's going to take you to dark places. You can't sit there with low self-esteem because somebody is going to take you into a club, force you to drink, force you to have, something terrible, do something terrible. Somebody can, if you don't love yourself, you could find yourself with the wrong crowd. You wonder how people ended up in Didi's party. They were forced to do all these things, all that things. Deep down, that was somebody who did not know how to love themselves. They found themselves in that situation because they were not able to discern, like, if I love myself, I shouldn't be seen with these kinds of people. I shouldn't be around with people who do this to other people. You ought to love yourself, because if you don't train your mind what love is, how it looks, what kind of people should surround you when you love yourself, how they talk, how they behave, your mind will not know. Your mind will not know. I know people who have been with friends, they thought they were their friends, even if they saw them doing mean things here and there. And then, they ended up in a very bad place. You wonder somebody was poisoned by somebody because their mind was not looking out for them. Even if your mind is trying to talk to you, trying to give you signals like this person is really bad, really, really bad, but you don't have the concept of self-love, your body is literally trying to tell you, stop, don't do this, but you're not listening because you haven't trained your mind to love you. You don't have that sight. Somebody said that the eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. So imagine somebody was here and they are a serial killer. Because my mind doesn't know that, my eyes, no matter how much I see this person, I would not know that they are a serial killer. Why? Because the mind doesn't know. So if you don't train your mind to see what kind of behaviors that should be red flags for you, that the kind of people you should avoid if you love yourself, when to walk away from a situation. If you really don't train your mind in this kind of way to love itself and to walk away and to choose good things, your mind is not going to be able to protect you. So you ought to love yourself. You actually need to know what it looks like. So anyway, this other person here, she said something that actually shocked me about self-love, and I want to share it with you.
All of you watching here, and to all of you watching here, come close to the screen and listen. People don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. They don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see. You better love what you see. Come close to the screen and listen. People don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. They don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see. You see.
She said, like, they don't even have to respect you. You know, I thought for some time, like, if people don't respect me, I'm gonna have to show them that they ought to, like, but then she said, they don't even have to. They don't have to. But when I look in the mirror, you know, I better like what I see. When I look in the mirror, I better like what I see. For some people, they might not think, maybe you're a supermodel and you're like, this is not, you know, it doesn't matter. But I am, you know, I struggled, I think from a very young age, I struggled to think like I'm beautiful. And, you know, I didn't know why I struggled thinking that I am beautiful. Maybe because, you know, kids make fun of you. And I had a funny looking face, you know. My teeth were not always straight. My eyes could not converge, you know. And I thought I had like, my ears are really small. So I really thought, you know, something funny. So when I looked in the mirror, I really didn't, I felt kind of a little bit like of a body dysmorphia, you know. That was my personal challenge. But I really never had a problem with my skin color ever. Never, ever. Like I've always been great and happy with my skin color. But I remember one time I was in a bus and I had my niece. And this lady that we went to school with, she was seated behind the bus. And she was very, very light-skinned, and my niece was like this, you know, looking at her. And I remember that growing up, you know, she grew up with people praising light skin. And I'm not saying people with light skin are not beautiful. They are beautiful. So are people with dark skin and people from, you know, all other skins, right? I mean, I am a little biased. I tend to think dark skin is healthier than very fair skin, just in terms of health and protecting your body organs. I tend to think that. That's what I believe. But anyway, that aside, I have seen a lot of dark-skinned girls having to bleach themselves, having to do all these other things that, you know, like, they really, and it's all, even celebrities have bleached themselves. People like Ciara, Beyonce, like we know they bleach themselves. So it means when they look in the mirror, you know, just like I did when I was younger, they don't like what they see. They can sing about it. They can do whatever, right? But actions do speak louder than words. And that means is that they don't like what they see. Now, people don't even have to respect you. But when you look into the mirror, when she says that, when you look into the mirror, you had better like what you see. But there is also a deeper meaning to that. You know, it's not just the color of your skin. You can bleach until the cows go home. I don't care. But if you look into the mirror and the person that you see reflecting there, you don't like their behavior, their character, you don't like how they talk to people, you know, you don't like, maybe, for me, I used to be kind of like a people pleaser, and I didn't like that behavior. So I didn't like myself in that type of behavior. You know, I really, you know, was dying sometimes for people to like me. I don't know, it's just an insecurity. Like you're overly nice. Why? You don't have to be overly nice to people. Anyway, you had better like the person you are, because when you're not a decent person, a good person in life, you know, deep down you can feel it. Deep down, your body, your conscience, your own conscience will not like you. And there is something like people don't realize, like your conscience is king. Your conscience is king. There's a reason God made you an intelligent being. And he says that there is a witness inside of you. And when you die, that witness goes to heaven to witness the kind of life that you have lived here, the kind of person that you are, right? I can tell you that your conscience is king. Your conscience will stop you from sleeping at night. If you're the kind of person, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't like yourself because of what you have done, And a part of loving yourself is understanding that, can you bear your own conscience, the things that you have done to other people? If you're an evil person, that will haunt you. That's a very deeper meaning when she says, like, when you look yourself in the mirror, you had better like what you see. Can you sleep at night? When you look at yourself in the mirror, what person have you become? We see a lot of like billionaires, they have a lot of money, right? They can dress well, they can do whatever. They can do a whole makeover. But when they look themselves in the mirror, they know that the person staring back at them is a child molester, is a thief, is somebody who has murdered people. Stuff like that is real. You can't live with that kind of conscience. That's why she says, like, I'm not saying just bleaching skin and whatever. You had better like what you really see, because self-love is not just, looking good, or going into the stereotypes of what society considers beautiful or not beautiful. You had better really like what you see, the person that you have become. So that means that you really ought to understand what self-love is, so that you can choose the kind of life that takes you to heaven, to a good place in your life, to a good place in your mind, some place that gives you peace of mind. A clear conscience is king. A clear conscience is king. So you had better like what you see.
You got to love yourself more than the need to be loved by other people. Because if you're always concerned about other people, you got to love yourself more than the need to be loved by other people. Because if you're always concerned about other people loving you more than you actually love yourself, loving yourself doesn't mean you do face masks and bubble baths every day.
Yeah.
That's a nice self-care.
Yeah.
Loving yourself means, I speak a lot, I talk fast, I'm from New York, I say fuck a lot, but I accept that part of myself, and if you don't like it, that's okay. Find someone else. That's loving myself. Loving you more than you actually love yourself. Loving yourself doesn't mean you do face masks and bubble baths every day.
Yeah.
That's a nice self-care.
Yeah.
Loving yourself means, I speak a lot, I talk fast, I'm from New York, I say fuck a lot, but I accept that part of myself, and if you don't like it, that's okay. Find someone else.
So I think what she means here is it's more important to be authentic, and to be happy that you're authentic when you love yourself, than to just think that, oh, I love myself. And I believe self-care is part of self-love, but just because you had you took a bath, you did your skincare routine, you had a massage, that's good self-care. And I actually think it's self-love, because I have had to sacrifice some things to get a back massage because my back was in pain, right? And I understand, like, I can't be in pain and have a good experience. So because I love myself, I'm going to get that massage, okay? I'm going to take time off work because I love myself and I want to get some sun and I'm low on vitamin D. I work, I got to take some time off. That is self-love. It is a part of self-love. But again, she's saying it goes deeper. It goes deeper. It's not just something that's, self-care, right? Are you authentic? Are you authentic? So, anyway, what can we learn? Be accountable for yourself. Walk away from, the things that you believe in. That's a huge thing. Walking away from bad situations. Like, stop being the victim. Take 100% responsibility of your life and walk away from people who are negative in your life. Part of loving yourself is to choose to not go negative in terms of your finances, in terms of your health, in terms of your mood, in terms of, your daily happiness, and choosing happiness, real authentic happiness. Forgiving yourself, nobody is born perfect, but choosing a better path. When you know better, do better. If you feel rejected, walk away. Maintain your dignity. When people don't like you, walk away. Walk away from people who say that they don't like you. They have reasons why they want you gone. So shut that door. Go with some dignity while you still have some, right? And then improve yourself. They will see you somewhere in a magazine hollering at them, right? But move with dignity. People don't have to respect you, but you better like what you see, you know. Always guard your conscience, you know. Above all, the Bible says guard your heart. Above all, guard your heart. You better like what you see in the mirror. So don't let people drag you into a lifestyle that when you look into yourself in the mirror, you're like, who did I become? You know, people, that's how people murder people. They become murderers, they become prostitutes, they become child molesters. They go into the wrong crowd, and now they are older and they look themselves in the mirror and they don't like what they see. Your conscience is king. Guard it well. You know, do not become an island. Look for the people that are meaningful in your life, you know, like people who want you to do better, people who care that you love yourself, people who care that you look yourself in the mirror and they are like, I like what I see. And I'm not talking about skin deep. I'm not saying about how beautiful your looks are. I'm saying be authentic. Be authentic, you know. It's not about self-care. It's about looking yourself in the mirror and loving the company of your own conscience. So thanks again. Many thanks for tuning in to Bloom. We want you to bloom and blossom and become the best you, the inner version of the best you. So if you haven't liked this video, give me a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, and until next time, may God bless you.